Pasco Connect magazine is bringing you an update on a recent development involving immigration enforcement and local law enforcement right here in Pasco County. Florida Chief Financial Officer Blase Ingoglia recently announced new state funding for several Tampa Bay area law enforcement agencies following their cooperation in immigration enforcement operations. During a press conference held in Winter Haven, CFO Ingoglia was joined by multiple law enforcement leaders, including Port Richey Police Chief Frank Ruggiero and Pasco County Sheriff Chris Naco. Agencies represented at the event received checks ranging from just over $32,000 to more than $1 million, depending on the size of the agency and its involvement in recent enforcement efforts. Ngoglia stated that the funding rewards cooperation between local agencies, the state of Florida, and federal partners in enforcing immigration policy. He emphasized Florida's stance against sanctuary cities and highlighted state laws that increase penalties for human smuggling and restrict state-issued identification for undocumented immigrants. Pasco County Sheriff Chris Naco stated that the focus of these operations is targeting individuals he described as the worst of the worst. Other law enforcement leaders echoed appreciation for the funding, describing improved coordination with federal agencies, increased support for local officers. At the same time, this announcement has raised important questions within communities like Port Richey and across Pasco County, particularly around public safety, immigration policy, and how state-level decisions impact local residents. Pasco Connect magazine will continue to follow this story and provide updates that help our community stay informed. We encourage residents to stay engaged, ask questions, and participate in local conversations about policies that affect our neighborhoods.
Immigration enforcement, and it's taking shape across parts of Florida. Today, Florida's chief financial officer announced new funding that will go directly to police departments and sheriff's offices across the state with a focus on public safety and enforcement support. 10 Tampa Bay News reporter Asha Patel, live for us in Polk County right now with how that money will be used and what it could mean for the community. Asha.
Hi, Jenny. Good afternoon. Yeah, Blaze and Golia just moments ago handed out multiple checks to various law enforcement agencies across Florida. And some of those checks were more than $1 million. And this is all to help with immigration enforcement. Now, Blaze and Golia went on to say the goal is to make life more difficult for illegal immigrants by cracking down on access to health care, money transfers, and employment. He also emphasized holding employers fully accountable if they hire undocumented workers, including taking full responsibility if those workers are injured on the job. The same standard, he said, would apply to car insurance companies in the event of an accident.
Florida is leading this nation with arrests and deportations, almost 20,000 so far since we started this, and it's going to continue. So if you're an illegal immigrant, self-deport, because you don't want these guys catching you.
Now, among the agencies receiving those funding were Port Richey, Sarasota, Hardy, Hernando, and Polk County. I'm reporting live from Polk County. Asha Patel, 10 Tampa Bay News.
As immigration-related policies expand at the state level, questions have emerged about the role of local law enforcement and why some agencies choose to cooperate with federal or state immigration initiatives. In Port Richey, that conversation intersects with recent leadership changes in the police department. Frank Ruggiero was named Port Richey's new police chief, officially assuming the role in April after previously serving as assistant chief in Tarpon Springs. His appointment follows the resignation of former Chief Cyrus Robinson, the Captain Michael Koch serving as interim chief during the transition. Chief Ruggiero is not new to Port Richey. He previously served with the Port Richey Police Department in the late 1990s and has spent decades building a career focused on training, compliance, and interagency coordination. His background includes extensive certifications in emergency response, traffic enforcement, federal incident command systems, and law enforcement instruction at the college and academic level. For departments like Port Richey's cooperation with state for departments like Port Richey's, cooperation with state or federal programs, including immigration related initiatives, is often influenced by access to funding, training resources, equipment, and staffing support. Smaller municipalities, in particular, may view these partnerships as a way to enhance operational capacity, meet state expectations, and align with broader public safety frameworks. These decisions can carry complex implications for community trust, public safety priorities, and the relationship between residents and law enforcement. As leadership settles into place, how these policies are implemented and how community voices are engaged will remain an important part of the local conversation in Port Richey. So, to better understand this legislation, it's important to understand who Florida Chief Financial Officer Blase Ingoglia is and why his role matters here in Pasco County. Before becoming Florida CFO, Ingoglia served as a state legislator representing Pasco County, including communities such as Port Richey. His background means the policies he supports are not abstract. They connect directly to the people, businesses, and workers who live here. As Chief Financial Officer, Ingoglia oversees areas that touch daily life, including insurance, regulation, workers' compensation, financial services, and professional licensing. That makes legislation backed by the CFO office especially significant for local employers, commercial drivers, homeowners, and families trying to build financial stability. In Pasco County, where many residents work in construction, transportation, hospitality, and small businesses, proposed changes to workers' compensation, commercial licensing, and insurance liability could have wide ranging effects from workplace protections to how businesses manage risk and compliance. As these bills move through the legislative process, community members, business owners, and workers alike will be watching closely as state level decisions often have very real consequences for how people live, work, and move forward here at home. So, I want to briefly wrap this up with some things I found interesting while looking at this information that was released. Basically, that the chief financial officer of Florida, seems like the money man of Florida, has released these fundings to certain police stations, Port Richey, Sarasota. I noticed that there were other cities in Pasco County that wasn't mentioned or whatever. And as well, it seems like within certain articles that I read, these agencies, these policing agencies that received this funding, received it because they had already showcased actions and taken actions against immigration or against immigrants before. And so this was supposed to be some type of reimbursement type of thing. So depending on how many immigrants, I guess, you got off the streets or what you did is how much, you got back. And they were stating that some agencies got as little as 32,000 and some up into $1 million. And then I also read that some of the other changes he was making was to drivers in Florida. Like, if you don't speak English, you can't drive. He's changing the licensing requirement. I saw this and I wanted to read it. This is talking about the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, Blase Ingoglia, a grassroots soldier at heart. Ingoglia became increasingly active with the Republican Party when he was elected chairman of the Hernando County Republican Executive Committee in 2009, and through his election as vice chairman of the Republican Party of Florida in 2011. He was elected chairman of the Republican Party of Florida in January of 2015 with a re-election in 2017 before stepping down in 2019 as chair after mobilizing historic efforts to elect Donald President Trump and Governor Ron DeSantis. In July of 2021, Ingoglia announced his run for the Florida Senate, pledging to fight the woke socialist agenda being pushed on our free state while defending Floridians' economic prosperity and constitutional freedoms. So this is all very interesting. I learned a lot looking up this research and learning about Blase Angolia, learning more about the police chief for Port Richey. So this was all very interesting to learn that all of these departments got all of this money for fighting immigration crime. What do you all think?